Wise words there from one of my bros. Plotting, smoking, thinking, man, let's get this shit on road. Growing up, you see the shit you need to make it through the struggle. Positive, negative, they both all under one.
Yo, it's your boy UKGTR.
Hello, my name is VEX, and welcome to the first episode of ControllerSide Chats. Woo. No, just kidding.
Yes, episode 1.
So, some of you look at the title, you might notice it looks a little familiar. So when it came to naming the series, I actually got the idea from fireside chats that were done by FDR, President FDR, back in, 1933? So what he used to do were called fireside chats, which were, he would just basically address the public through the radio, telling them, updates on World War II, stuff with his New Deal initiatives, just kind of educating the public, and they were 13 to 44 minutes. So when me and UK down here got an idea for a podcast, he was like, we need a name, and I was like, I got you, fam. ControllerSide Chats, because you can't copy FDR.
Exactly.
Pretty sure. I don't
Copyright.
Know if copyrighted it. Yeah.
Yeah, there
But,
were no parts of that.
Absolutely not. But for our first episode, thought we'd start with a little bit of current topics, just to get a feel for our own layout, what to do for the next episode, and whatnot. And plus, there's a lot of stuff going on in the news that all relates back to video games. So, so one thing that's really big right now are those Battle Royale games, like PUBG and Fortnite, H1Z1. You know much about them, UK?
Not really. I couldn't get into them. I tried Fortnite. I think it was Fortnite. I think, is that the free one?
Yes.
I've played that one a couple times, and I just couldn't get it. I don't know, it's too arcadey for me. I wasn't getting into it, but I heard it's the craze. Go ahead and tell me a little bit more about it, for those that aren't too familiar with it.
Fortnite is a bit more on the cartoony side, where you literally run around with a giant pickaxe, just whacking the crap out of buildings to get materials and break into the roofs and stuff. And you fall out of a battle bus, I think it's what it's called. It's literally just a flying bus that you fall out of. And you parachute with
call it it says Minecraft with shotguns. I was cracking up.
I mean, basically it's like those Minecraft Hunger Games. Remember, did you ever play those? The Minecraft Hunger Games?
I think so.
It's literally Minecraft Hunger Games minus the squares.
So I think I ran into it a few times.
Yeah, so I haven't played much Fortnite. I barely got through one game because I landed and had a giant pickaxe in my hand, and I was like, what is this?
Right.
But I got really into PUBG, which is up and coming, and especially now that they released it on consoles.
Okay.
But
so yeah, it was originally on PC, wasn't it?
Yeah. But the whole theme of these Battle Royale games is just they drop 100 people into a map that the play zone will constantly be getting smaller and smaller, basically forcing any remaining players into the middle. It's basically last one standing. So it's kill or be killed. You can play with squads of 2, 3, or 4. You could play by yourself, which is terrifying, let me tell you.
There's super competitive.
Yeah, oh yeah. But they were talking about putting it into esports, making PUBG a big esports thing. But the problem is it's so inconsistent. It's not like Call of Duty, where there are certain strategies, there are certain specs for guns. PUBG comes a lot down to luck, where are you landing, what's there when you land, and where, as the circle kind of closes in and forces everyone towards the center, every game it's in a different spot. So it's not I don't know. But they're saying it's just too inconsistent to really make it esports ready, but they're trying it anyways, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, whoever sells, they're gonna be on it.
Oh yeah. Even Call of Duty is trying to get in on it too.
Yeah.
Don't know much about what they were trying to do with Call of Duty. Do you know?
No, I haven't. I just heard I forget what YouTuber was talking about it, but he said that even they're gonna try getting on the bandwagon. Not even more console or somebody, but they're saying they wondered if Destiny was going to try to get on it to try to revive Destiny.
Destiny.
But I don't think they'll do that.
Yeah,
Try to throw a game. They already got Rumble, and they can barely handle 8 people with the spawns.
Oh man, imagine Destiny, Battle Royale running through there with
That'd
your
be
supers.
crazy.
And
Oh my
crazy.
god. Let's not give them any ideas.
Oh boy. Alright, Bungie, you didn't hear this.
Right.
But with these new ones like PUBG and Fortnite, you don't really hear much about H1Z1 King of the Hill anymore. That was like really the first one that Battle Royale game I had heard of. Was H1Z1. I watched I watched a YouTuber play it, Optic Midnight, she's part of Optic. I watched her play it for a very long time, and I was like, oh, that game is so cool, but it was not on console, so I couldn't ever play it because it was on PC. But that was like the first battle ever. H1Z1 gotta get this game, but it was so laggy and so buggy, and it kind of bad. Like, I mean,
yeah, I wonder what,
there's still a lot to
what
fix,
happened to it.
But H1Z1?
I think H1Z1. I think the first person I used to watch was his name was Kosdiv. Kosdiv.
Oh, I remember him. Yes, yeah, I know him.
I think he used to play it.
Yeah, a lot of them
First
did, but I
time
think
I'd
once
seen
they started coming out with the new games, they were like, let's try them out, and they ended up just sticking with them. But H1Z1 did try to come back. They made H1Z1 Auto Royale. It's the same idea of a Battle Royale, but you're in a car, and you can't get out of the car. You would just kind of drive through like those floating little icons to get gear and weapons, and you just had to either shoot the people out of the other cars or like destroy the car. It was weird to watch. It definitely was so different, but it was definitely cool. But
that reminds me of Twisted Metal. Did you ever play Twisted Metal games?
I did not. No. What is it?
They were pretty good. I grew up on those. It's like it's similar, but there's like no people. Well, there's people in the storyline, but like the whole time you stay in your car and you have like guns and rocket launchers attached to your car. You know, you shoot other cars and you blow them up. Like, you know, you have health. You know, obviously once the health is down, the car blows up, and you have to be the last car alive. So this was back. It was like this is '90s, mid '90s. It was a good game. I think they had like five Twisted Metals, maybe more.
Oh man,
Yeah, those were fun.
Was it on? What console was it?
I played it on PlayStation. I think it was only on PlayStation. Don't quote me. It might even be on like Nintendo 64 as well.
Oh man,
don't quote me on that.
Oh my god, you're so old. No, the good old days.
The good old
days before Call of Duty introduced jetpacks.
There you go. For a multiplayer online, you had to go to people's houses to play multiplayer.
Ugh, yeah. Or like the Nintendo, the Game Boy, not the Nintendo DS, the Game Boy Advance and the Game Boy Colors, the one that you had to actually use like a wire to connect yourselves to the other person.
Yep.
Yeah, I forgot the name of it.
And everything. Yeah. Like a link cable or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Good old days.
But all these games though that we've really been talking about, most of them were rated M because they are a bit bloody. Like they basically promote just killing people. Like that's the point of the game, is to kill or be killed. So especially with stuff that's been going on recently, what are your thoughts on like the possibility of these video games influencing these people that have been maybe like the mass shootings that have been happening in like movie theaters? Like we had that one in, I believe it was Colorado, where the movie theater, I think they were seeing a Batman movie and the guy walks in and just started shooting.
I remember that.
Or even the most recent one with Parkland, which sparked huge debates and marches from parents, even veterans who were in wars, and especially fellow students like high school aged and college age, even middle schoolers are getting in on it for more gun control. But a lot of it, especially from the politicians, is being thrown back to video games. So what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, you can't just blame video games. If you want to blame media, you have to blame music, you have to blame music videos, you have to blame movies, you have to blame theater. I mean, you'd have to blame everything. How are you just going to blame video games? You know what I'm saying? I just feel like this stuff's been around for years, and it's always been violence. I mean, you can't just blame it on media, or you can't just blame it on entertainment or whatever that's listed as, because you can't just solely. I mean, they're always going to try to put the blame. They always feel like they have to blame one thing. What about the parents? What about, why don't they ever blame the parents? You can't. I mean, you can point fingers, but at the end of the day, the one person did it. I mean, I don't know if you can't really blame influence for how your brain. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of complicated.
It's a very big gray area.
Yeah, it's really, really gray. There's a lot that would have to go with that. How they was raised. Friends, influences. There's always signs before stuff happens. You don't just go in and do it. There's always usually help me signs or acting out for attention in schools. So I think they have to do better at watching out. I know it's a lot of one teacher and a lot of kids, or only a few teachers and a lot of kids. But there's always warning signs to anything before someone usually does something drastic. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I totally agree. I like to think of when people point at the video games, they're almost trying to use it as a scapegoat. They don't know what's causing it. They can't necessarily put their finger exactly on it, so they're going to blame the next best thing that they don't understand. Because if you look at how many people on a daily are playing these M-rated games, which could either be extremely bloody, or like Call of Duty, where the whole point of the game is running around shooting other players, or like these Battle Royale games where it's literally kill or be killed, survival, the fittest, and these games where even a multiplayer, you gotta like kill him, or oh, he killed me, but the keyword is on that killed. And while for those who play video games, yeah, so a lot of people argue that gamers are now desensitized, but I personally, I don't really see it as desensitized. In a way, I don't really know how I would necessarily explain it, but I wouldn't say desensitized, because whenever I think desensitized, I always think of, like, you're desensitized if you hear about that Parkland shooting and you couldn't care. You don't care. You're like, oh, it's whatever. I feel like that's desensitized. I feel like when most people heard it, they were a little shocked almost that these kids were at school where you think you're safe and you're not anymore. I feel like everyone has that, like, oh my god moment. And if you're not having that oh my god moment, that's when you're desensitized.
Okay. So I guess we could say we're adults and we know right from wrong. Where it's not. And, like, fact from fiction. I know I'm playing a video game that this does not leave this console. What I'm saying and doing does not leave this video game. In real life, this is not okay. So I guess that's where it comes in. Yeah, it's kind of knowing that what you're doing in these video games is not reality, and it should never be put together. These games should not become reality. They're meant for entertainment purposes, like we go to the movies. And they're not reality. They're movies for entertainment. So you're right. So we're wrong for saying desensitized. It's totally different from what's happening here. I'd say there are definitely people who are a bit apathetic, where they're kind of just like, they don't really care about what's happening anywhere. They're just like, what's going on in my life? I wouldn't call it desensitized. I just feel like they're very narrow-minded and them. Not others. Right. But now, what does apathetic mean? Break that down for us who don't go to college. So apathetic, it comes from the word apathy, which is just a lack of interest or enthusiasm or like concern. I had to just look up the exact definition real quick just because I didn't know the exact words to describe it. But it's basically you just don't really have an interest in it. You're not concerned about it. It's like if someone was, I don't know. It's almost like you're just not really enthusiastic. You have no interest in it. You're kind of just like, it's whatever. A lot of people will say you're apathetic if something happens and you're kind of just like, okay. Like, oh my god, he just won the Super Bowl. And you're like, okay, whatever. Like, that's being like apathetic. I guess that's how you would describe it. But, so yeah. Yeah, go ahead and read the definition for us real quick. Oh, I just did. Oh, you were reading it as, okay. Yeah, apathetic. I thought you said you were going to pull lack of interest, enthusiasm, or concern. It's a noun.
case you were wondering.
All right. There you
Well,
go. The more
apathy.
you know.
It's apathy is the
Okay.
word, but then you can just kind of change it into a bit of a adjective and say apathetic. So
Okay.
you know,
Well, we learned something new
English. You're learning English here too. I'm
there. There you
an
go.
English teacher. Just kidding. No, I'm not. But I ended up last year, my freshman year of college, I did do an essay on
Mhm.
video game violence and whether or not it influences violence in kids. So a lot of my research dealt with reading articles from other like scientists and sociologists who did experiments with different age groups, different genders. So they would do like males, group them like elementary school age. So like I know if anyone's listening who's not from the U.S., they don't know what an elementary school is, but it's basically like your youngest age of starting school to
Mm.
fourth grade. How old were you in fourth grade?
Ooh, that's a big question. Let's do some math here. Let's see. I graduated 2011. So where would that put me on fourth grade?
Okay, so it's like 9 to 10 years old. I just looked it up real quick.
Yeah, go ahead
So,
and guesstimate.
so
Guesstimate.
elementary school for America goes to like 9 or 10 years old. It also looks like some people call it year 5 if you're in Great Britain. So,
Yeah.
in case, you're somewhere else. Because some place have weird schooling categories. But anyways,
Right.
so they kind of divided it by like that age from I think some of them were like then 10 to 16 and then 16 to 21 and then 21 and up, and then I think some of them had categories of like 40 and up, like to have more of that, like they are definitely like their brains are definitely matured at that point. They have a lot more life experience, so some of the experiments use that age group, but they also divided like male and females, and they had like a control group play like say Minecraft, which is rated E, I think it is. So it's like E for everyone. There's really no blood, and it's not as violent as say. Then they would have players play Call of Duty, which is rated M for blood and gore and whatnot, and it's a first-person shooter. So the gun is in your hand. You are shooting other players, and they were doing tests to see if by the end, when they put them all together, which kids were more violent, which kids were calmer. And honestly, the video games themselves didn't really play a factor in who they saw being more violent. Or the results were too inconclusive to definitely say it's the cause of the video games. There were just too many other factors, like you were saying earlier, of like family life, like how are these kids raised?
How are they raised?
Do they have both
what
parents?
Neighborhood they grew up in?
Yeah, like do they have both parents there all the time to tell them, no, you can't do that? Or do they get home from school and no one is home and they can just do what they want for hours on end?
What kind of movies do they watch?
And so what are they allowed to watch? Are they 13 allowed to watch rated R movies? Or do they have even like mental illnesses? Like did that 10-year-old boy who showed a lot more violence even though he played Minecraft, does he have anxiety? Does he have depression? Does he have ADHD? Was he bullied? So there were so many more factors because it wasn't like split down the middle of the kids who played Minecraft were calmer and the kids who played Call of Duty were more violent. There was just such a big mix within the group.
It's not like they were born playing solely Minecraft, playing solely Call of Duty, and never seeing nothing else in life. So like you said, you have your life experiences to go with just that, 30 minutes of gameplay or an hour or so of gameplay. That's not going to change your life.
Yeah, like there was such a mix, and they also had mixed in children who had no exposure to video games prior to the experiment, and they had students who were avid video game players. But because like the conclusion and like what the results found were so mixed, they couldn't with complete accuracy enough to like make a valid conclusion say these kids were violent because of these violent video games, because there were so many other factors that had to be taken into consideration that the cause for their violence could have been any one of these. So is it really, would you say after hearing that it's fair that all these politicians are saying these kids are committing mass shootings because they play violent video games?
No, it's not fair. There's
Not
too
fair.
many. Too many. Can't think of the word I'm trying to say. Elements. Too many elements in the way.
Hmm.
So it's not fair. But like you said, it's just a scapegoat. It's to give the parents something to agree with and point fingers at. Because like you said, someone's got to take the fall. They're not gonna accept it.
Yeah, like that politician's not gonna say it's the policies we have in place. They're gonna say, oh, it's these video games. Because all you gotta do is
Right.
get rid of those video games and we could solve this problem. And now we have to like change around all this, have all these reforms for maybe better mental health care or
Or try
better
to
gun
censor video
control.
games.
Yeah, or censoring. They just want to say it's the video games. If you get rid of the video games, you get rid of the problem. They want the easy way out, but it's not always
Right.
the easy way out. Because if you
They're
even get into
saying
that debate of gun
Japan
control,
has like super strict gun laws, and they rarely have trouble over there. I didn't. I should have watched the video. I didn't watch it. We'll have to come back to that after we get more information on that.
hmm,
They're saying like Japan has like super strict gun laws, and they rarely have trouble over there. So they were trying to prove that it's not the guns. Like you said, they say guns don't shoot people. People shoot people. But I mean, I guess you can try to limit the accessibility to guns, but people can always find a gun if they want a gun, especially in America, because obviously people can buy things illegally. But I mean, they could do better at who they sell it to. But I mean, think about liquor though. Kids still get liquor all the time and throw parties. So people are going to find a way if they want a way. You know what I'm saying?
very true. But back to what you were actually saying with Japan, um,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people also believe Japan has less violence because of the culture. There's just such a big
Mm-hmm.
culture difference even between America,
Right.
where
Right.
we in a way we kind of glorify guns because we're all,
Oh yeah,
oh,
movies,
it's part
everything.
of our constitutional right to bear arms, and
Mm-hmm.
the whole idea of America is guns and beer, and like obviously that's not how it always
Chicken.
is, but it's like that kind of stereotypical, like, yeah, we're America with like
Yeah, look
guns
at
and
Texas. That's
yeah,
like the ultimate
yeah.
American stereotype.
But
American
in
flag,
Japan,
guns.
yeah, in Japan it's very reserved. Like your home life is, it's a little more private. Um,
Right.
it's a very respectful culture in terms of like your elders and your parents. You're always respectful for your parents, your elders, your
Yeah.
grandparents. Like it's just a culture almost, I would say, like built on respect. And here in America,
Yeah.
I wouldn't really say it's built on respect. If
Definitely
anything,
not.
it's based on trying to disrespect someone so you feel better about yourself here in America. But that's just,
Right.
but yeah, like in America, I feel like a big part of our culture is just weapons and guns, and I feel like that has something to do with it too, on why Japan has a lot lower crime rates in terms of gun violence.
Yeah. It's pretty bad.
But either way, uh, there needs to be changes, whether it's arguing about gun rights or um, maybe it is putting like stronger what's the word, censorship, I guess, on video
Mm-hmm.
games, like assuring that the people who are buying these games are only 17 and up, and only people who can play
I
M-rated
mean, but
games
what
are
can you
17 and
do?
up.
Because that's what the ratings are for.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
mean that's
rated
also,
M, rated T. But yet kids are still getting copies of Call of Duty, getting copies of GTA. The parents want to keep their kids happy. Here, sit in front of the TV, play GTA.
yeah.
So I mean, what can you do? I mean, again, it boils down to parents. Not 100%, but a good percentage boils down to parents
Yeah,
on what their kids has access to.
it's what are they letting their kids
Check
get
on
away
them.
with and
Don't just
whatnot.
sit them in front of the TV.
Yeah.
Watch cartoons with your kids. Watch the games they play. Watch the movies they play. You gotta get active.
Oh yeah, definitely. Um, but there are people, both sides really, the left and the right, like liberals and conservatives, because of all this been going on. A lot of them are, as much as the politicians have been pushing the violence in video games and whatnot, um, like, in terms of the general public, I feel like it's still for everyone else a big issue of gun control. in terms of like you were saying. I forgot exactly when you said it, but it was a bit earlier when you had said they should make it harder to get guns or change the way to get
Yeah.
guns. Obviously, people are going to get them illegally either way because you can honestly find anything illegally. But
Right.
just better background checks, stuff like that, and that's people are protesting now with that. I think it was called March for Life. It was basically going on across the U.S. It really started up again after that Parkland shooting. There was one
Yeah.
down in New York City, Washington D.C., of just people getting together, demanding stronger gun laws, to just keep people from getting guns and being able to just walk into a school and open fire. So, what are your
I
thoughts on
say
like the
go for it.
protests?
Whatever they think's gonna work, and if it works, go for it. I'm all for it. Hope they figure it out, cause like it's just ridiculous. You come to school, get education, you gotta worry about getting shot up. Like it's just crazy.
Do you
So
think
hope they
protests
figure
could work?
something out. I don't know. I mean, I guess did it work for like civil rights and all that stuff back then? I don't know. Did it like finally get across? I'm not sure. But if they think it's gonna work, do it. Go
All the
for it.
power to you, man. Kind of like that.
Right. Pretty much. Like I support you. If y'all think it's gonna work, do it. Hopefully it gets heard or it gets to the right people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm all for whatever works because something's got to change, man. You can't keep doing it. You can't keep living like this. This is bad. This is terrible.
Mm-hmm.
And they said there's just so many. Like there's just lately, it's like become common. Like another school shooting. It's terrible.
Mm-hmm. It all just
Metal
goes back to that
detectors.
Second Amendment, the right to bear arms.
Would that
and
help?
how do you decipher
Metal
it?
detectors. Well, schools are a no weapon policy anyway, or I
Oh,
believe
very
they were.
true.
Didn't they always have signs in the
I'm not
window?
exactly
Like,
sure exactly the
'cause
like
there
the
was
legal policies on it, but no weapons
and it
is
might even
usually in
depend
like
on
the
the state.
handbooks.
Right, because usually it said like like no, like the signs that say like no shirt, no shoes, no service, and
Mm-hmm.
no weapons, please, on property or something like that. So it might just depend on the school and location or state or whatever. But I said metal detectors. I don't know if that'll help. But I know it kind of like makes your school look bad. But I'd rather be safe than worried about how my school looks.
Yeah, a lot of people though, in terms of like metal detectors or having students like empty their pockets before they come in the door. In like the airport, you got to put your stuff in the bin.
Right,
You walk through a
right,
metal detector, then you take your stuff on the other side.
yeah,
I know some schools have implemented stuff like that too, like in schools that are maybe not in nice areas in terms of like poverty
yeah,
levels and stuff. There are some schools who have already implemented that, but
right.
some of the schools that may want to, a lot of the argument is for their
They feel
privacy.
like violated or
Yeah,
something.
people
Yeah,
feel like their
privacy.
privacy is being violated. They're like, why should I empty my
That's true.
pockets?
I
Like,
mean,
do you
if it
have the right
goes
to search
off,
me?
I say if it goes off, what you got in your pockets, bro? Pocket knife, what you got going on? But I mean, if they do, it would have to be something that would have to get voted for. Obviously majority rules. So if they put it in a school poll or whatever, or they do like when voting time comes around, say it's like issue 98. Metal detectors in all schools. I know. Obviously, if it goes off, you gotta empty your pockets. Or everyone, if it just works like an airport, everybody just put your stuff in the bin, go through the metal detector, put your stuff back on. But then they'd probably argue about being late to class if you're like already late and you show up and now you gotta take all your stuff off and put your book back through the. So I don't know. I don't think it would be like a legit like airport, but I think like like the big like door post you walk through goes off. They check it. So
Yeah,
I
and
don't know.
just see what set it off. If it's like maybe you have um
Right.
I don't know, like a nail clipper or something. I don't know. Or like
Yeah, I mean, it could be
those like
light.
eyelash curlers. Some of them, I guess, are metal. Maybe they
Okay.
could set off one of those. Like, just make
Right.
sure it's not a weapon, and send them on their way. But
Yeah.
again, people are like, that's an invasion of my privacy. Which,
Right, and then they'll say, "Oh, they're
yeah,
racial profiling." So I think it'll lead to other issues, but
yeah,
I think it'll lower guns. It won't be
yeah,
any more weapons getting in schools. So, I mean, everything comes at a price.
yeah,
Obviously, you got to pay for these metal detectors, and then again, you lose a bit of privacy. But on the flip side, where school's not going to be shut up.
yeah. Very true. Um, people were also suggesting, I believe Donald Trump had, I don't know, I didn't look too much into it because honestly, I can't really read much about him without getting a little frustrated.
I agree.
But I mean, I agree there are some things he's done right, some things he's done wrong. But for the most part, he's just one of those people that I'd rather not read if I don't have to, like read about. But
Right.
there has been a lot about him wanting to arm teachers, or
Hmm.
and like using the armed teachers almost as like a dissuasion, just to be like, oh, now that I know if I go in there and try to shoot up and all these teachers are armed, I probably shouldn't do it because I know I'm probably going to get shot before I can do much damage because if all these teachers are armed, they're almost using them as like a warning sign to arm the teachers, to be like, don't do this because all our teachers have handguns on them. If you try to do this, you're
Yeah.
gonna get shot. It's
Yeah.
almost like when you just see the cop cars patrolling around, so you're like, oh, I gotta sit straighter in my car, like turn my music
Right.
down a bit, even though you know they're not gonna bust you for going the speed limit, having your music a bit loud. You still slow down, you
Yeah.
still lower your music. It's almost like that. But a lot of these schools where they're like armed teachers, some of them don't even have armed bodyguards. They don't even have security. Like my mom works at a
Mm.
school, they don't even have security guards, armed or not armed, and no
Wow.
security guards. No one checking ID when you come in the building. Who are you? Why are you here? No security
We
guards that walk the halls or anything. So I feel like maybe they need to start implementing more security guards. They don't have to be armed, but just have them as a presence. It's like when you have police
Right.
presence, and it kind of people are like, oh, the cops are here, better not do that. Whether you
Right.
know they're armed or not, it's just the fact that there is someone in the building that can take you down. I feel like that
Yeah,
needs
we
to be
had
there.
like 3 security and a cop that worked at my high school.
So what do you think of that? Do you think more schools, if they can't necessarily
Oh yeah.
maybe afford, or the community says, no, I don't want this invasion of privacy of like sensors or metal detectors, do you think maybe we should have either armed or non-armed guards?
I think if you're not gonna arm teachers, you should have guards. Uh, I think they called them administration. They didn't really call them security or anything, but they're called administrators. And we had like 3 or 4 of them. And then, like you said, I can't remember if the cop was there every day or he was there like every other day or something like that. But yeah, we had a cop, and especially on like days where we had like assemblies or days that we had tests or like near graduation time. But they've always had police presence, and we administrators are there every day, and they're like they break up fights, they pin people down, they obviously call the police or whatever. But I think the cop he was there most all the time. I remember him being they had 2 of them, like one had left and another one took his place. But yeah, police was always there, so not too much went down.
Oh
They
no, the
usually
cops
see
is
him running
here.
down the hallway.
Scatter.
Somebody's
It's the
fighting.
police. Scatter.
Yeah, they walk around, tell people to go to class. If they see them hanging out in the hallways. So yeah, they did pretty good.
It's the cops.
Kept on.
Run.
But the thing about armed teachers, like there's some teachers you're like, we really don't need that teacher being armed. I could see there being an altercation, and he shoots the kid saying, "Oh, he came at me," but they were unarmed, and so I think that will cause other problems that they might not want to get involved in. Or
Also,
the
think of
teacher
how
was
much
threatening
money they're
students,
going to have to
waving the
spend to
gun at
train
them.
these teachers. Because you have to have
Right,
permits,
and then
you have to have license
background
to
checks,
carry.
permits, yeah. So yeah, that'll lead to other things. So I don't know. Again, this is a lot of gray areas. It is really
Oh, yeah.
complicated and leads to other trouble.
I think it all just goes back to the whole idea of the Second Amendment, which is like the right to bear arms. But can we also
Yeah.
remember that this was written in like the 1700s, when
Hmm.
your guns were not these semi-automatic rifles that
Full
are like
automatic,
military
right.
grade weapons. You had
Right.
like when like they shot like those muskets, you had to like you can only really shoot one at a time. Like you would shoot, you'd have to like reload the gunpowder and like stick that long
Yeah.
stick down the barrel to like, and then reload it and then shoot again. Like it wasn't like you couldn't commit any of those mass shootings with a weapon like that. They're like,
Right.
okay,
Like-
hold on, hold 1 minute. I gotta hold on. I got it. 5 minutes later, you're still like reloading the thing.
Right.
So
And
it's
like
we need to be
don't aim
changing.
down. It's gonna fall out.
Yeah. So
Like
like, do we need to
revise
be
it.
changing the Constitution to fit the times?
I mean, it makes sense because times change, and I mean, I'm not trying to take anybody's gun away, but what do you need a gun that shoots so many rounds? Like, what do you need these assault rifles for? I mean, I could see if they think we're going to get invaded anytime soon, but just on a regular day, an average day, why do you need an assault rifle?
Yeah, very
So I
true.
don't know.
Yeah. So a lot of people are like, "Give me my Second Amendment right to bear
Yeah,
arms," but please don't forget that the Constitution and all the amendments were written in like the 1800s when weapons were not what we have today. So like, I don't know, it's something to think about. Because
right,
obviously you don't want to take rights away from people, but do we need
right,
to reform it and change what we can have access to in terms of what
right,
types of guns, like the requirements for owning it in terms of background checks, prior training. Do we need to require a certain amount of training before they could even hold one in their hand? Like, there's so many stories
right,
of people at the gun ranges accidentally killing the instructor or not
right.
on prop make sure better. All of them just trying to own a firearm. I don't know. Such a gray area,
Yeah,
and there's no
it
right or
is.
wrong answer. I feel like it's just because every person is different too. Every situation is different.
Right.
Whew. The right to bear arms. Tricky one.
Yes. Something needs to be done though. They need to figure something out
Oh yeah.
because it's
But
obviously not working the way it's going.
oh yeah. But I think at this point we can agree that it's not all video games' fault.
Yeah,
As you
definitely
can
not
tell
video
by all we
games.
were just talking about. We talked about video games for very little, I would say, in terms of why all these things are happening. Video games are not really the cause of it, I would say.
No.
Because
I think that's a weak-minded opinion to try to blame video games or movies. Like you have to be really weak-willed or weak-minded to say, "Oh, this video game has controlled my life and it made me this way." Like that's not. I feel like it's not an excuse.
I
Like
feel like there
to
has
sit
to
here
be
is
something else going on that would make you think that, because no normal person can see a Call of Duty video game and say, yes, this is reality. I can just go outside with my AR and shoot people. Oh, by the way, AR does not stand for assault rifle, it's Armalite rifle, in case you're wondering.
huh? I did not know that.
So,
That
like, when
is
you
new to
people
me.
say,
I
oh,
learned
if you had, like,
something
an
else.
AR rifle, it doesn't mean assault rifle.
Okay,
Armalite. It's a brand, Armalite.
I did not know that.
So actually, yeah, I don't know. I just thought of that when I said that, because a lot of people don't know that, so they're always like, "Oh, it's an AR, it's an assault rifle." Like, it's
Yeah,
not just assault rifles. Armalite rifles they're different. Some of them are semi-automatic. It all depends. It's just they're not the same. Just, anyways, sorry, little plug right there.
yeah. There you go. But yeah, I heard they're trying to people who were like members of the like the gun association. I forget the full.
The
You know what I'm
NRA,
talking about?
the NRA,
Yeah, people. Yeah, they were
it's
like
like the National Rifle
starting to.
Association.
Yeah, they were like starting to penalize them and take away their discounts and stuff and insurance and stuff like that if they were members of that. Like people were like backing out on because they used to get like a whole bunch like of free stuff and a lot of discounts if you were a member of the NRA, and now they're getting a lot of like backlash for if you support them any way, shape, or form. A lot of people are pulling out and not supporting that anymore, which is crazy. I knew nothing about that. Like they got like stuff off their like plane tickets and stuff like that. It's crazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah, because the
Sad
NRA,
stuff going
they're
on.
all about advocating for gun rights. They want the Second Amendment. They want people to be able to own
Yeah,
these military grade weapons. Obviously, they're like, oh, with safety and everything, but they're still saying we want to own guns. And that's why people are like, no, because after everything that's happened, all started back with Columbine, through Sandy Hook, and now Parkland, and many in between. People are like, no, no more guns, but the NRA is still pushing for it. So I'm not overly surprised at hearing people are now kind of shunning NRA members and saying, we don't want you here, we don't want you in our organization. A lot of companies are actually pulling out in terms of like, a lot of them have partnerships, so like you were saying, like some people got like discounts and such for being part of the NRA for different companies if they were all partnered together, and even some of the companies are pulling out and they're like, we don't want to be associated with you anymore.
Like I'm in the middle. Like that's your hard-earned money you earn if that's what you want to go spend it on, and you go to the shooting range or you go hunting or you shoot at trees, or you just shoot at like the little bags of sand or whatever stuff they do. I mean, just if that's what you like to do, it's what you like to do. To each his own. But like they just, like you said, they just gotta figure out how to keep mentally ill people from going out and shooting innocent people, and like the Las Vegas thing. You know, that guy. I watched like more footage on that, and dude, like he checked into Vegas. You know, he brought like 20, maybe 30 some bags, like over like a week or maybe longer of his stay, and it was crazy. Like they broke down from like when he first got to Vegas to all the way up to when the shooting happened at the concert and stuff. And dude just had a room full of guns. Like it was just crazy. He just kept bringing bags after bags, which I guess the way he did it, no one really paid attention because he was a regular at the casino he was at. Like people talked to him all the time. The staff, I guess, knew him or whatever, so I didn't really raise any flags. But I mean, that was just a lot of bags. And he had 2 rooms. One room he put under his girlfriend's name, and then the room he checked in next to it, which was a joint. You know how they combine? Like if you walk through the door, you can go into the other room. He had both of those rooms, and he chain locked both of the doors, and then he did what he did. So, like you said, it's just when it comes to people like that, it's like it's kind of hard because like it just seems like a regular normal person, and then boom, they go out and do some crazy stuff. So I mean, I don't know. They're just gonna have to figure something out, or I don't know how they can stop people from getting them that don't need to have them.
Yeah, it's such a gray area. Like we keep saying, keep repeating it, but it is such a gray area because there's so many different situations, so many different things that in theory could be done, but will it actually work in practice? It may sound good in theory, but again, will it work in practice? So like you could try to make harder background checks pass, like make it harder to pass, but if you don't pass it, will you still be able to go down the street to the street corner and buy it from a guy down the street, off the street, like illegally?
Yeah.
So there's I don't know, it's so hard to try to change something that really can't be changed in a way. Legally it can be, but will it actually change is the real question. So I guess that's literally just all the debates going on today. It's happening at the dinner tables when you're sitting down with your family. Families are just talking about it over dinner, and it's even happening all the way to the top for president at the presidential level, with like what the president wants to do, what senators want to do, what Congress wants to do, what individual people want to do, and all the way down to elementary school kids who are going to be the future. Like there's so much reform and change and politics that's going to be involved in all of this, but I don't know. I feel like we have so much work to do. So much work,
it's crazy,
but it's like, where do we go?
Anywhere.
Yeah.
Right, like not just schools. It could happen at your job, and obviously it's happening in movie theaters. It's happening at concerts. I mean, it's just people. You can't control people. People are unpredictable. It's just, what can you do?
Yeah. Yeah. So like, what can you do? But that's really all I've got. But this concludes our first episode. What do you think?
We wrap it up. First episode. I think that was
it got a little more political than I thought it was gonna get. But
yeah.
But
But it happens.
Yeah, I promise not all of them are going to be political though.
Yeah. We'll
Who
pick a
knows?
lighter
Next
topic
one we'll
next
just talk
time.
all about Minecraft. I'll tell you about every single block in the game, where to find it, how to
Oh my
mine it.
god.
No, I'm kidding.
That sounds very entertaining.
Oh yes, so entertaining. But no, the first episode. How do you feel, buddy?
I feel good. I waited all week. I couldn't wait to do this.
You were
So yeah, we'll
this morning. You
d-
were. I was like, all right, you ready? And you were like, all right. So I made all these accounts.
I was super
I
ready.
was like, we haven't even recorded an episode.
Right. I know, that's what I was thinking, like, damn, I did all this, I'm ready to do it. We ain't even got no content up yet. Not a
Fair, but
single second.
hey, if anyone's made it this far, and you are now curious about all these accounts that UK made, all the links will be in the
Right.
description, so you should definitely check them out. And like, if you like it
Definitely.
and kind of want to see more stuff in the future, please share it and like it and give us
Yep.
your
Share,
feedback. Let us know
subscribe.
what you want us to change too, because this is the
Yeah,
first
we'll
time
drop
either of us
links.
have done anything like
Instagram.
this.
Yep. So feedback is definitely welcome. Any topics you guys want to hear, let us know. And yeah, we'll get
Or
on.
if you have a topic you want to talk to us about personally, like maybe we can try to get you in on an episode too, because we want to definitely invite other
Yeah.
people on, so you don't just hear us talking the whole time.
You can chime in, give us your points and all that. Let
Oh
us
yeah,
know what's going
definitely.
on.
The feedback would be much
But yeah.
appreciated.
Guess we'll go ahead and wrap this up. We are the ControllerSide chat, and thank you for tuning in. I'm UK,
And I'm Vex.
and enjoy your day, night, morning, or whenever you're listening to this, and share. And we're out.